To Russia's invasion of Ukraine, President Trump signaling the war could be nearing an end after talks with Vladimir Putin this week. What will it take to finalize this deal? Retired U.S. Army Major General Dana Pittard joins me now. General, thank you so much for giving us your time on this Saturday. We greatly appreciate it. I want to start with what the president has said about the talks, about the communication with Vladimir Putin. Take a listen.
I think we're doing well, as you have been hearing about Ukraine. I think we're doing now well with Russia. We're speaking with President Putin. We want to get the war over. We've had some very good calls today with Russia and with Ukraine. They've agreed for a ceasefire if we can get it with Russia, and it's not easy. It's a tough one, but I think we're doing it.
Your thoughts on what the president said and the communication that seems to have opened up with Vladimir Putin?
Well, good morning. I think President Trump is right in a couple of things, and one is that Ukraine has agreed to the proposed ceasefire agreement. He's also correct as far as certainly the communications with Vladimir Putin and Russia, and that it is a very complex situation. It's a complex, in fact, wickedly complex problem to try to solve. Where I think that there are issues is Vladimir Putin coming to the table. It is very clear that that Russia is stalling, and they're stalling for a reason. It's because they want to take back the city of Kursk. If you remember from last summer, Kursk was taken by the Ukrainians in a very bold move in Russia. Is very embarrassing to Moscow. So right now, Russian and North Korean troops are trying to take back Kursk.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting you brought that up. The president said on Friday that there were thousands of Ukrainian troops encircled there in that area. But President Zelensky there in Ukraine has pushed back on that. There's this headline in Sky News that the Kursk operation is ongoing and that troops are not encircled, with Zelensky saying that they're still fighting there. Your thoughts on the portrayal there of that, clearly what appears to be a very key battle at this moment as perhaps negotiations are beginning?
Yes, Kursk is not completely encircled, but the Russians and North Korean troops have the upper hand right now. And what Putin would like is to take back Kursk so that cannot be leveraged against him in the peace agreement or peace talks with Ukraine, because that's the only real territory, Russian territory, that Ukraine still holds.
Great point. Zelensky had added regarding this situation that the buildup of Russian forces indicates that Moscow intends to keep ignoring diplomacy. And he has long argued that you can't trust Putin. Your thoughts on that?
I think he's right. You can't trust Putin at all. However, there is an historic opportunity here because of the relationship between President Trump and Putin. So that in itself could help bring Putin to the table. So there is an opportunity here. All
right. General, I do want to ask also about the war in the Mideast. Hamas says it's prepared to release the last living American hostage, Eden Alexander. But Israel and Hamas still have to hash out, seemingly, a lot of the details regarding the second phase of the ceasefire. Where do you see this going?
I see Hamas continuing to stall. They're using, the hostages, the Israeli and American hostages, as pawns. They were given an opportunity, I think, by President Trump. He gave an ultimatum for them to release all hostages by the time of the inauguration. They ignored that. They gave them another ultimatum. They've also ignored that. So at some point, Israel will end up unleashing their forces and trying to kill every last Hamas fighter, which will be very damaging to the Palestinian people there in Gaza. But it's something Hamas apparently does not want to deal with any kind of peace agreements. They're in their last holdout right now. They've been defeated. They just haven't been destroyed yet.
It's a heartbreaking situation. Hamas supposedly claiming that they're willing to release this last American hostage. They still hold 4 American bodies. And it's worth noting that there are 24 hostages that are thought to be alive as well, noting that. Some of the headlines are, a little back and forth on this. Here's one from the BBC that the U.S. rejects impractical Hamas demands as the Gaza truce hangs in the balance. Apparently Hamas, asking for a big exchange of prisoners, of aid to come back into the country. Your thoughts on their demands and the pushback, and if they can even be remotely believed?
I do not think that Hamas can be trusted. They're a terrorist organization. Hamas doesn't have a whole lot of leverage right now. They think they do. They have truly been defeated. Look at Gaza, but they haven't been destroyed yet. So I think that through Qatar and others, there should be an agreement so that Hamas can either get out of Gaza and move someplace else, or just lay down their arms. But they want to fight till the very last Palestinian citizen is alive, and that's ridiculous.
And I can't imagine there are too many nations that would look forward to taking in a huge swath of Hamas fighters. So pretty challenging situation. Retired U.S. Army Major General Dana Pittard, thank you very much for your insights and for joining us on this Saturday morning. Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.